Kind mechanic built a robot for disabled girl. Next morning a private jet landed outside his garage. It was a rainy Tuesday when old Henry Carter first saw her, sitting on a worn-out cushion by the bus stop across from his garage, watching raindrops fall like she was trying to count them all. Her pink raincoat was too big, her wheelchair even older than the cushion she sat on, and yet her eyes sparkled like sunbeams breaking through clouds. Henry hadn't smiled in years. Not really. Not since the accident that took his son and left his heart rusted shut like the door to his late wife's piano room. He spent his days fixing engines, changing oil, and talking more to wrenches than people. But something about that little girl made him pause. She came every day after school, always waiting there for someone, though no one ever came. One evening, as he closed up the shop, Henry finally crossed the road. "You all right, kid?" he asked, voice gruff from disuse. She looked up and grinned. "I'm waiting for my mom. She's always late." Henry glanced down the street. Empty. "You don't have to wait in the rain. Come sit inside. I've got hot cocoa, sort of." She didn't hesitate. "Cool. I'm Ella." He led her into his garage and handed her a chipped mug filled with cocoa powder and warm milk from his microwave. She drank it like it was a luxury. That was the beginning. Ella was 9, brilliant, and born with a neurological condition that had paralyzed her from the waist down. Her mom, Jenna, worked 2 jobs and barely made ends meet. Some days she didn't come at all. On those days, Henry would drive Ella home in his battered pickup, though she never complained when he was late. She loved robots, talked about them like they were her secret friends. "They don't care if you can't walk," she said once. "They're built to help. I want to build one someday." Henry didn't reply, but her words stayed with him. Over the weeks, Henry learned more than he expected. Ella knew programming from books she borrowed from the library. She had a little tablet her mom bought secondhand, and she used it to draw schematics of robotic arms and exo-leg braces she dreamed of inventing. One evening, she stared at a blueprint on her screen and sighed. "I just wish someone could build this. It'd be like my legs." Henry stared at the blueprint. The garage around him was filled with rusted tools, scraps of metal, and half-finished projects. He hadn't built anything new in years. He didn't sleep that night. The next morning, he dug out old welding goggles, rolled up his sleeves, and got to work. It took weeks, long nights, quiet sacrifices, and many calls to old engineer buddies who owed him favors. He sold his vintage Mustang to buy parts. He skipped meals. But slowly, bit by bit, the robot came to life. It wasn't perfect, it was patched together from scrap and salvaged parts, but it worked. Henry called it Hope. Hope wasn't just a machine. It was a mobility assist robot, equipped with sensors that responded to Ella's hand gestures. It could walk beside her, lift her when needed, and even carry school books. It chirped softly when it booted up. Ella had programmed the voice herself. When she first saw it, she didn't say a word. Her lip quivered, and then, for the first time in Henry's life, someone hugged him like he mattered. "You built this, for me?" she whispered. He nodded, eyes misty. "Then I'm going to walk beside my friends at school," she said. "And I'm going to tell everyone you made it happen." The next morning, Henry heard a sound that didn't belong in his dusty, sleepy town, a jet engine. He stepped outside, wiping grease from his hands, and froze. A sleek, white private jet had landed on the road, technically the only straight stretch long enough to count as a runway. It blocked traffic, but no one seemed to care. Out stepped a tall man in a tailored suit and sunglasses. Behind him followed a camera crew. "Mr. Henry Carter," the man asked, striding toward him with purpose. Yeah." Henry mumbled. "I'm Nathan Cross, CEO of Crosstech Robotics." Henry blinked. The one that builds medical bots?" Nathan smiled. My daughter Ella told me all about you. Henry's jaw nearly dropped. He looked past Nathan, and there she was. Ella, in her chair, Hope rolling beside her like a loyal companion. Her mother stood teary-eyed behind them. Jenna stepped forward. I never told you the truth. Ella's dad, he left before she was born. Nathan only found out about her last year through a DNA test. But when I told him about you, what you did, he wanted to see it for himself. Nathan extended a hand. I want to offer you a job, Henry. Head of Human-Centric Robotics R&D, full salary, full team. Build more hopes. The world needs them. Henry couldn't speak. He looked at Ella, who grinned up at him with pride. 6 months later, Henry stood in a pristine lab in Palo Alto, surrounded by engineers half his age. At the center of the room, a dozen upgraded versions of Hope stood charging, each one destined for a child who had never dared to dream of walking. He still missed his son. He still visited the grave every Sunday. But for the first time in years, his heart didn't feel rusted. It felt open. Alive. Ella visited often. She no longer needed the old cushion by the bus stop. Now she walked through life, with Hope by her side and Henry forever in her corner. Final message. Sometimes, the smallest act of kindness, like building a robot for a little girl, can ripple out in ways we never imagine. True humanity is not in wealth or fame, but in choosing to lift others, even when our own hearts carry weight. And when we do, life has a way of landing jets in our driveways, reminding us that kindness never goes unnoticed.